The news spread through the academy like fire through dry grass. By evening, everyone knew what had happened in the history classroom. By the next morning, the story had reached the local news channels. By the end of the week, it was being discussed across the entire galaxy. Human student disarms Veltari noble in Galactic Academy incident. Deathworlder shows mercy. A new perspective on humans. The girl from Earth, violent or peaceful? Yuna did not read the news. She did not watch the reports. She stayed in her room and studied for her exams. Hannah brought her food and kept her company. They talked about simple things, classes, homework, the changing weather outside. Neither of them talked about what had happened. Neither of them needed to. The academy administrators called Yuna to a meeting. She expected to be expelled. She expected to be sent back to Earth in disgrace. She prepared herself for the worst, but the meeting did not go the way she expected. The head administrator was a large creature covered in blue fur. He had kind eyes and a gentle voice. He asked Yuna to sit down and offered her a cup of warm tea. "I watched the recording of what happened," he said. "I have watched it many times, actually. Each time, I see something new." Yuna said nothing. She held the warm cup in her hands and waited. When Taiho pulled out that knife, you could have run. You could have called for help. You could have done nothing. The administrator leaned forward. But you chose to act. You chose to protect yourself. And then, when you had every opportunity to hurt him, you chose not to. "I know what I did was wrong," Yuna said quietly. "Violence is not permitted in the academy, that is true." The administrator nodded slowly. "But neither is threatening another student with a weapon." Taiho broke the rules first. "You simply responded." He paused. "However, the way you responded was unexpected." Yuna looked up. "Unexpected? In all my years at this academy, I have never seen someone disarm an opponent so quickly and cleanly. Your skill is remarkable." The administrator smiled gently. "But that is not what impressed me. What impressed me was what you did afterward. You had power over Taiho. Absolute power. And you chose to give it up. I did not want to hurt him." "Exactly." The administrator sat back in his chair. "And that, young human, is why you will not be expelled." Yuna felt something release in her chest. She had not realized how tense she was until that moment. However, the administrator continued, "There will be consequences. Taiho's family is very powerful. They are demanding action. To satisfy them, I will have to assign you community service for the rest of the semester. You will help maintain the academy gardens. It is peaceful work, and it will keep you away from Taiho." Yuna nodded. "I understand. Thank you." The administrator stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the purple sky. "May I tell you something, Yuna? Something personal?" "Of course. When I was young, I was afraid of humans. We all were. The stories we heard about Earth were terrifying. We believed that humans were monsters, cruel, violent, unstoppable. We believed that if we ever met a human, they would kill us without thinking." He turned to face her. "But you have shown me something different. You have shown me that humans are capable of restraint, of mercy, of choice." His kind eyes met hers. "I think there is much we can learn from your species. Not just your strength, but your wisdom." Yuna did not know what to say. She had never been called wise before. "Go back to your classes," the administrator said with a smile. "Study hard. Show everyone who you really are. Not a monster. Not a savage. Just a young woman with a good heart." Yuna bowed respectfully and left the office. The next few weeks were strange. The other students looked at her differently now. Some still avoided her out of fear, but others looked at her with curiosity. A few even looked at her with admiration. Slowly, carefully, Things began to change. A tall alien with 4 arms asked to sit next to her in biology class. A floating creature made of light asked her questions about Earth. A group of students invited her to join their study group. Yuna accepted each invitation carefully. She did not push too hard. She did not expect too much. She just let things happen naturally. Taiho never bothered her again. She saw him sometimes, walking through the hallways with his friends. But he never looked at her. He never spoke to her. Whenever their paths crossed, he simply walked the other way. She did not know if he was afraid or ashamed. Maybe both. Either way, the bully had learned his lesson. Some prey was not worth hunting. Some targets were better left alone. Hannah remained Yuna's closest friend. The small pink alien stuck by her side through everything. They studied together, ate together, laughed together. Hannah asked 1,000 questions about Earth, and Yuna answered them all. What is snow? Frozen water that falls from the sky. What is a dog? An animal that humans kept as friends for thousands of years. What is love? Yuna thought about that question for a long time. Love is when you care about someone more than you care about yourself, she finally said. Love is choosing to stay when it would be easier to leave. Love is being brave for someone else, even when you are scared. Hannah was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. I think I understand, she said. I think I love you, Yuna, like a friend, I mean. Like a best friend. Yuna felt tears prick her eyes. She had not cried in months. She had not allowed herself to be weak. But this was not weakness. This was something else entirely. I love you too, Hannah. They hugged each other tightly. Outside the window, the 3 moons rose into the purple sky. The stars began to appear, one by one, like tiny lights turning on across the darkness. Yuna thought about her family on Earth. She thought about her mother's warm smile, her father's strong hands, her brother's silly jokes. She missed them terribly, but she also knew that she had found something here. Something precious. Something worth fighting for. She had found a friend. She had found respect. She had found her place in the galaxy. And most importantly, she had found herself. She was not just a Deathworlder. She was not just a survivor. She was Yuna, a human being with a heart full of love and a spirit that refused to break. The lesson had been learned. Not just by Taiho, not just by the Academy, but by everyone who heard the story. Humans were dangerous. Yes, humans could kill. Yes, but humans could also choose not to kill. Humans could show mercy. Humans could forgive. And that, perhaps, was the most frightening thing of all, because it meant that when a human hurt you, it was not because they had no choice. It was because they chose to, and when a human showed you kindness, it was the same. A choice. A gift. A lesson. Yuna smiled as she looked out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and strange and full of wonders. But it was also full of people who could learn, who could grow, who could change. Just like humans. Just like her. She closed her eyes and made a wish on the brightest star. A simple wish. A human wish. She wished for peace. And somewhere, across the endless darkness of space, the universe listened. The classroom had gone completely silent. The screaming had stopped. The running had stopped. Everyone stood frozen, watching the scene before them. Yuna knelt on top of Taiho like a hunter standing over fallen prey. A knee pressed into his back. Her hand held his arm at an angle that looked painful. His own knife rested against his throat, held steady by her other hand. She had not cut him. She had not hurt him. But everyone in the room knew that she could. With one small movement, she could end his life. Taiho was shaking, not from cold, but from pure terror. He had never felt fear like this before. He had never been helpless before. All his life, he had been the powerful one. All his life, Other people had been afraid of him. Now he understood what real fear felt like. "Please," he whispered. His voice was barely audible. "Please, do not kill me." Yuna looked down at him. Her dark eyes studied his face. She saw the tears forming in his golden eyes. She saw the way his silver skin had gone pale. She saw the proud noble reduced to a begging child. For a moment, she felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no pity, just emptiness. This was what survival looked like. This was what humans had learned over millions of years on Earth. When a threat appeared, you removed it. When an enemy attacked, you fought back. When someone tried to hurt you, you hurt them first. It was simple. It was efficient. It was what her grandfather had taught her. But it was not who she wanted to be. She had come to this academy to prove that humans were more than just violent animals. She had come to show the galaxy that Earth deserved respect. If she hurt Taiho now, if she gave in to the instinct to destroy her enemy, she would prove everyone right. She would prove that humans could not control themselves. She would prove that Deathworlders were exactly as dangerous as everyone feared. She would lose everything she had worked for. The knife trembled slightly in her hand. The decision weighed heavily on her heart. Then she remembered something. Her mother's voice, soft and warm, speaking to her the night before she left Earth. "Yuna, you are strong. Stronger than you know. But real strength is not about hurting others. Real strength is about choosing not to hurt, even when you can. Remember that." Yuna closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, the predator was gone. In its place was just a tired girl who wanted to go home. She removed the knife from Taiho's throat. She let go of his arm. She stood up slowly and stepped back. Taiho did not move. He lay on the floor, too shocked to understand what was happening. "Get up," Yuna said quietly. Taiho raised his head. He looked at her with wide, confused eyes. "What?" "Get up. I am not going to kill you." Slowly, carefully, Taiho pushed himself off the floor. His legs were shaking so badly that he could barely stand. His friends rushed forward to help him, but he pushed them away. "Why?" he asked. His voice was rough from fear. "Why did you not kill me? I threatened you. I attacked you. By Veltari law, you had the right to defend yourself." Yuna looked at the knife in her hand. It was beautiful. The gold handle was decorated with tiny jewels. The blade was sharp enough to cut steel. It was a weapon designed for killing. She tossed it on the floor at Taiho's feet. "Because killing you would be easy," she said simply. "And I am tired of doing things the easy way." The room was silent. Every student stared at her with wide eyes. The professor's jaw hung open. Even the security guards who had just arrived stood frozen at the door. Yuna turned to face the class. She saw their fear. She saw their shock. She saw the way they looked at her like she was a monster. But she also saw something else. In a few eyes, she saw respect. In a few eyes, she saw understanding. And in Hannah's eyes, she saw tears. "You all think humans are violent," Yuna said. Her voice was calm and clear. "You think we are savages who kill without thinking. You think we enjoy hurting others." She paused. "Maybe some of us do. Maybe some of us are exactly what you fear. But not all of us." She looked at Taiho. He was still shaking, still pale, still terrified. "I could have killed him," she said. "It would have been easy. 1 cut, 2 seconds. He would be dead, and I would be the monster you all believe I am." She shook her head slowly. "But I did not, because I am not just a Deathworlder. I am not just a survivor. I am also a human being. And human beings can choose. We can choose violence, or we can choose peace. We can choose hatred, or we can choose forgiveness." She turned to the professor. The old spider creature was staring at her with all 12 eyes. "I'm sorry for disrupting your class," Yuna said. "It will not happen again." Then she walked toward the door. The security guards parted to let her pass. Nobody tried to stop her. As she stepped into the hallway, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned and saw Hana running toward her, pink fur bouncing with each step. "Yuna!" Hana grabbed her hand. "That was amazing. I have never seen anything like that. You were so fast and so strong, and then you just let him go, and your speech was so beautiful and—" "Hana." Yuna's voice was tired. "Please stop." Hana went quiet. She looked at Yuna's face and saw something that surprised her. Yuna was not proud. Yuna was not happy. Yuna looked like she wanted to cry. "Are you okay?" Hana asked softly. Yuna did not answer for a long moment. Then she shook her head. "No, I am not okay. I just showed everyone exactly what they were afraid of. I showed them that humans are dangerous. I showed them that we can hurt people whenever we want." "But you did not hurt him," Hana said. "You let him go. It does not matter." Yuna's voice cracked slightly. "They will only remember the violence. They will only remember how easily I could have killed him. They will never see anything else." Hana squeezed her hand tighter. "I saw something else. I saw someone who had every reason to hurt and chose not to. I saw someone who was stronger than anyone in this academy." Her big eyes were filled with tears. "I saw my friend." Yuna looked at the small pink alien. For the first time in months, she felt warmth in her chest. "Thank you, Hana." They walked together in silence. The hallways were empty. Everyone was still in the classroom, talking about what had happened. Yuna knew her life at the academy would never be the same. She did not know if that was good or bad. She did not know what would happen tomorrow, but for now, she had a friend by her side. And that was enough. 3 months passed at the Galactic Academy. The purple leaves on the trees changed to gold. The 3 moons shifted in the sky. The students prepared for their midterm exams. Yuna had done well in her classes. Her grades were near the top. The professors were impressed by her hard work and her sharp mind. Some of them had started to look at her differently. Not with fear, but with respect. But Taiho had not changed. If anything, he had become worse. Yuna's success made him angry. How could a primitive human be smarter than him? How could a savage Deathworlder earn better grades than a Veltari noble? It was impossible. It was insulting. It was unacceptable. He started spreading new rumors. He said Yuna was cheating. He said she had stolen answers from other students. He said humans could not actually be intelligent. They could only copy and pretend. Some students believed him. Others did not. But everyone could feel the tension growing. It was like a storm building in the sky. Everyone knew something bad was going to happen. They just did not know when. The answer came on a cold afternoon in the middle of autumn. It was a Wednesday. The class was Galactic History. The professor was an old creature with 8 legs and a body like a spider. He was teaching about the great wars that had shaped the galaxy thousands of years ago. Yuna was taking notes as usual. She sat in her corner at the back of the room. Hana, the small pink alien who had become her only friend, sat a few seats away. Taeho sat in the front row. He had been quiet all class. Too quiet. His friends kept glancing at him nervously. They knew he was planning something. When the professor paused to drink some water, Taiho raised his hand. "Professor," he said, "I have a question about the humans." The professor blinked all 12 of his eyes. "What is your question?" Taiho stood up slowly. He turned to face the class. His golden eyes found Yuna in the back row. "Humans are known for their violence," he said loudly. "They have fought more wars than any other species in recorded history. They have weapons that can destroy entire planets. They hunt and kill animals for sport. He paused dramatically. My question is, why do we allow such dangerous creatures in our academy? The room was silent. Every student turned to look at Yuna. She felt their eyes on her like a weight pressing down on her chest. The professor coughed uncomfortably. The human exchange program was approved by the Galactic Council. It is meant to promote peace and understanding between peace? Taiho laughed. Humans do not understand peace. They only understand violence. He reached into his jacket and pulled something out. It was a knife. Not a small knife like the one Yuna kept under her mattress. This was a ceremonial blade, long and curved, with a handle made of gold. It was the kind of knife that Veltari nobles carried as a symbol of their status. It was beautiful and deadly. The class gasped. Several students screamed. The professor froze in shock. This is a traditional Veltari challenge blade, Taiho said calmly. In the old days, we used these to settle disputes. If someone insulted our honor, we would challenge them to a duel. He pointed the blade at Yuna. I am challenging you, human. Fight me. Show everyone your true nature. Yuna did not move. She did not speak. She just looked at Taiho with those calm, dark eyes. What is wrong? Taiho walked toward her, the blade gleaming in his hand. Are you scared? I thought humans were the greatest warriors in the galaxy. I thought you could survive anything. He stopped in front of her desk. Fight me, Deathworlder. Or admit that you are nothing but a weak, pathetic animal. The room was completely silent. Nobody breathed. Nobody moved. The professor seemed paralyzed with fear. Hana looked at Yuna with wide, terrified eyes. What was she going to do? If she fought, she would prove that humans were violent. If she did not fight, Taiho would never leave her alone. Yuna looked at the knife in Taiho's hand. She had seen many knives before. Her grandfather had taught her how to use them when she was young. He had been a soldier in the army. He had survived 3 wars. He had taught Yuna that a knife was just a tool. It could cut food. It could cut rope. It could cut enemies. The knife itself was not good or evil. It was just metal and wood. The person holding it decided what it would do. Well? Taiho pushed the blade closer to her face. What are you waiting for? Yuna stood up slowly. The movement was so sudden that Taiho stepped back in surprise. She was shorter than him. She was thinner than him. She looked weak and fragile compared to his tall, muscular body. But something had changed in her eyes. The calm, empty look was gone. In its place was something else. Something that Taiho had never seen before. It was not anger. It was not fear. It was something older and deeper. Something that had been sleeping inside her for a very long time. It was the look of a predator who had finally decided to stop hiding. Taiho felt a strange feeling in his stomach. For the first time in his life, he felt uncertain. For the first time in his life, he felt like prey. You want to see my true nature? Yuna said softly. Her voice was calm and steady. Are you sure about that? Taiho gripped his knife tighter. His hands were shaking slightly. He did not know why. He was bigger than her. He was stronger than her. He had a weapon, and she did not. But somehow, standing in front of this small human girl, he felt afraid. Fight me, he said again. His voice cracked slightly. I am not scared of you. Yuna smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a wolf looking at a rabbit. It was the smile of a shark circling its prey. It was a smile that said, I have been waiting for this moment for a very long time. The class watched in stunned silence. The professor finally found his voice. Students, please stop this immediately. Violence is not permitted in. But it was too late. Yuna moved. Nobody saw exactly what happened. One moment, Taiho was standing in front of her with his knife raised. The next moment, he was on the ground. His knife was gone. His arm was twisted behind his back. Yuna was kneeling on top of him, pressing his face into the floor. The whole thing had taken less than 2 seconds. The class erupted in chaos. Students screamed and ran for the doors. The professor shouted for security. Hana covered her eyes with her paws, but Yuna did not move. She held Taiho down with one hand and held his own knife with the other. The blade rested gently against his neck. "Is this what you wanted?" she whispered in his ear. "Is this my true nature?" Taiho could not speak. He could not move. He could not even breathe. All he could feel was the cold metal against his skin and the weight of the human girl pressing down on his body. He had made a terrible mistake. He had poked a sleeping dragon Dot, and now the dragon was awake. His name was Taiho. Yuna learned this on her second day at the academy. He was a Voltari, a species known for their silver skin and golden eyes. The Voltari were one of the oldest races in the galaxy. They had built great empires while humans were still living in caves. They believed they were better than everyone else. And Taiho believed he was better than all other Voltari. His father was a senator. His mother was a famous scientist. His family owned 3 planets and dozens of space stations. He had never been told no in his entire life. He had never met anyone who did not bow to him. Until Yuna. It started small. On the second day, Taiho walked past her desk and knocked her notebook to the floor. Yuna picked it up without saying anything. On the third day, he accidentally spilled his drink on her uniform. Yuna cleaned it up and kept walking. On the fourth day, he blocked her path in the hallway. "Move," she said simply. Taiho laughed. His friends, a group of rich aliens from powerful families, laughed with him. "The Deathworlder speaks," Taiho said. "I thought your kind only knew how to grunt and kill." Yuna looked at him with empty eyes. "Please move. I need to get to class. What if I do not want to move?" Taiho stepped closer. He was much taller than her. His shadow fell over her body. "What will you do, little human? Will you attack me? Will you show everyone your savage nature?" Yuna said nothing. She waited. Taiho's smile faded slightly. He had expected her to get angry. He had expected her to shout or push or fight. That was what humans did, according to everything he had learned. They were violent animals who solved every problem with their fists. But this human just stood there, looking at him with those calm, dark eyes. "You are boring," Taiho finally said. He stepped aside and let her pass. "Go to your class, little ape. We will play again later." Yuna walked away without looking back. The days continued like this. Every day, Taiho found a new way to bother her. He mocked her in class. He spread rumors about her. He told everyone that humans ate other intelligent species for food. He told everyone that Earth was a planet of murderers and thieves. Some students believed him. Others did not care. A few felt sorry for Yuna, but were too afraid of Taiho to help her. Yuna endured it all. She went to her classes. She studied hard. She ate alone in the cafeteria. She slept alone in her room. She did not complain. She did not cry. She did not fight back. This made Taiho angry. He could not understand her. Every other student he had bullied had eventually broken down. They had cried or begged or fought. They had given him the reaction he wanted. But Yuna gave him nothing. She was like a wall of stone. No matter how hard he pushed, she did not move. One night, Taiho called a meeting with his friends. They gathered in his expensive private room. "I hate her," he said, pacing back and forth. "I hate that disgusting human." "Then why do you keep bothering her?" One of his friends asked. "Just ignore her. She is nothing. I cannot ignore her," Taiho shouted. "Do you not see? She thinks she's better than us. She thinks she can come to our academy and look down on us. A Deathworlder. A savage from a primitive planet. She has no right to be here." His friends were quiet. They knew better than to argue with Taiho when he was angry. "I will make her break," Taiho said quietly. His golden eyes were filled with cold fire. "I will make her show her true nature. I will prove to everyone that humans are nothing but violent beasts." The next day, Taiho changed his strategy. Instead of bothering Yuna directly, he started talking about Earth in every class. He raised his hand and asked questions about the human homeworld. "Professor, is it true that Earth has over 1,000 active volcanoes? Professor, is it true that Earth has storms that can destroy entire cities? Professor, is it true that humans evolved from animals that killed for fun?" The professors answered his questions honestly. Yes, Earth had many volcanoes. Yes, Earth had violent storms. Yes, humans had evolved through millions of years of survival and conflict. Each answer made the other students more afraid of Yuna. They looked at her like she was a bomb that could explode at any moment. They moved their desks further away from her. They whispered about her when they thought she could not hear. Yuna heard everything. She saw everything. But she kept her face calm and her mouth closed. One day, after a particularly long lecture about Earth's predators, a small alien with pink fur approached Yuna. Her name was Hana. She was from a peaceful planet with no dangerous animals. She had been watching Yuna for weeks. "Is it really that bad?" Hana asked quietly. "Your planet?" Yuna looked at her. This was the first time any student had spoken to her without hostility. "It is dangerous," Yuna admitted. "But it is also beautiful. We have mountains that touch the clouds. We have oceans that shine like mirrors. We have forests filled with life." She paused. "Not everything on Earth wants to kill you." Hana nodded slowly. "That boy, Taiho, he really hates you. I know. Are you not scared?" Yuna thought about the question. Was she scared? She had faced worse things than a spoiled rich boy. She had survived earthquakes. She had survived typhoons. She had once gotten lost in a forest for 3 days when she was 12 years old. She had eaten bugs and drank rainwater and found her way home by following the stars. Taiho was nothing compared to Earth. "No," Yuna said finally. "I am not scared." Hana's eyes went wide. "You are brave." Yuna almost laughed. She was not brave. She was just tired. Tired of being afraid. Tired of being alone. Tired of proving herself to people who had already decided to hate her. "I am just human," she said. That night, Yuna sat in her room and looked at the photo of her family. Her mother's warm smile. Her father's strong hands. Her brother's silly face. She missed them so much it hurt, but she would not give up. She would not let Taiho win. She had come here to prove something, and she would prove it, no matter how long it took. Tomorrow would be another day. Another day of insults. Another day of loneliness. Another day of survival. But Yuna was a human, and humans were very good at surviving. She put the photo under her pillow and closed her eyes. In her dreams, she was back home on Earth. The sun was warm on her face. The wind smelled like grass and flowers. Her mother was calling her name, telling her that dinner was ready. She smiled in her sleep. When she woke up, she was ready to face another day. The shuttle landed with a soft hum on the silver platform. Yuna looked through the small window and saw the Galactic Academy for the first time. It was huge. The buildings were made of white stone and blue glass. They reached up toward a purple sky filled with 3 moons. She had never seen anything like it. She picked up her small bag and walked toward the exit. Her heart was beating fast, but she kept her face calm. She had learned long ago that showing fear was dangerous. On Earth, predators attacked the weak. She did not know if the same rule applied here, but she was not going to take any chances. The door opened, and she stepped outside. The air smelled strange, like flowers mixed with metal. Dozens of alien students were walking around the platform. Some had blue skin. Some had 4 arms. Some floated instead of walking. They all stopped and turned to look at her dot, while Yuna felt their eyes on her body. She heard their whispers. Is that a human? From Earth? The Deathworld? She ignored them and kept walking. A small robot floated toward her. It had a round body and a single glowing eye. Welcome to Galactic Academy, it said in a mechanical voice. You are Yuna from planet Earth. Please follow me to the registration office. Yuna nodded and followed the robot. As she walked, she noticed that the other students moved away from her. They stepped to the side and watched her pass. Some of them looked scared. Others looked curious. A few looked at her with disgust. She understood why. Earth was famous in the galaxy, but not for good reasons. The aliens called it a death world. They said the gravity was too strong. They said the weather was too violent. They said the animals were too deadly. They said humans were monsters who survived by killing everything around them. Yuna knew this was not completely true. Yes, Earth was dangerous. Yes, humans had fought many wars. But they were not monsters. They were just survivors. The robot led her into a large building. Inside, there were more aliens sitting behind desks. One of them was tall and thin with gray skin and large black eyes. It looked at Yuna and blinked slowly. Human, it said. Its voice was soft and careful. I am Administrator Coordinator for new students. Please, sit. Yuna sat in a chair that was too big for her. The alien typed something on a floating screen. You are the first human to study at this academy, it said. Your government requested this exchange program. We accepted because we believe in peace between species. However, I must warn you, many students here are afraid of humans. Some may be hostile. We ask that you do not respond with violence. Yuna almost laughed. She had been bullied her whole life. In middle school, the other kids had called her weird because she was quiet. In high school, they had called her creepy because she never smiled. She had learned to ignore mean words a long time ago. I understand, she said simply. The administrator gave her a small card. This is your room key. Your classes start tomorrow. Please rest today. Yuna took the card and stood up. She followed the robot to her room. It was small but clean. There was a bed, a desk, and a window that showed the purple sky. She put her bag on the bed and sat down. For a moment, she just breathed. She was really here. She was really at an alien school on an alien planet millions of light years from home. It felt like a dream. She thought about her family back on Earth. Her mother had cried when she left. Her father had told her to be strong. Her little brother had made her promise to bring back an alien toy. She had hugged them all and tried not to cry herself. She missed them already, but she could not go back. Not yet. She had been chosen for this program because she was the best student in her school. She had studied hard for years. She had learned 3 alien languages. She had read hundreds of books about galactic history. This was her chance to prove that humans were not just violent savages. This was her chance to show the galaxy that Earth deserved respect. She unpacked her bag slowly. She had brought only a few things. Some clothes. Some books. A photo of her family. A small knife that her grandfather had given her. The knife was not a weapon. It was a tool. On Earth, everyone carried tools. You never knew when you might need to cut rope or open a package or defend yourself from a wild animal. It was just common sense. She hid the knife under her mattress. She did not want to scare anyone. The next morning, she woke up early. She put on the academy uniform, a gray jacket and black pants, and looked at herself in the mirror. She looked small. She looked ordinary. She looked like nothing special. Good, she thought. The less attention she attracted, the better. She walked to her first class. It was called Galactic Biology. The room was large and filled with strange desks designed for different body types. About 30 students were already sitting inside. They all turned to look at her when she entered. The teacher was a floating ball of light. It pulsed gently as it spoke. "Ah, you must be the human exchange student. Please, find a seat." Yuna looked around. Most of the desks were occupied. The only empty ones were in the back corner, far away from everyone else. She understood the message. Nobody wanted to sit near her. She walked to the back and sat down. She took out her notebook and waited for class to begin. The floating light began to speak about different types of life forms in the galaxy. It explained how some species breathed oxygen, some breathed methane, and some did not breathe at all. Yuna wrote everything down carefully. As she wrote, she felt someone staring at her. She looked up and saw a student sitting 3 rows ahead. He had silver skin and golden eyes. His body was tall and muscular, covered in expensive-looking clothes. He was looking at her with an expression of pure hatred. Yuna did not know his name. She did not know why he hated her, but she recognized that look. She had seen it many times before on Earth. It was the look of a bully who had found a new target. She looked back down at her notebook and kept writing. She would not give him the satisfaction of seeing her react. But deep inside, she felt a cold feeling spread through her chest. She had hoped things would be different here. She had hoped that aliens would be kinder than humans. She was wrong. Some things were the same everywhere in the universe.